Okay, you're 18 now.
Oh, I know.
Get out of my house. What? Wait, I'm not ready. I don't even know how to cook, pay bills, or survive, really. Doesn't matter. That's life, son. Figure it out. Here's a backpack. Good luck. Try not to die. Die? Dad, some kids literally end up living in their cars or on a couch.
So this is a skit showing how a lot of kids, when they turn 18, meaning they become legal in America, some parents kick them out once they turn 18. Some will even kick them out right when they hit their 18th birthday. And I think that's pretty interesting. It's like, what's the mindset of the parents? Because it's your child, obviously, and you know that they're not ready at 18 at all. They don't have the knowledge of the world. They haven't had the time to gain the experience of what they should do and not do to survive out there. The parents were even 18 once, so they know full well that 18 is not prepared at all to go out there. So I wonder, why do people want to kick their children out just because they're 18 and the law says they can go out there? If you care about your child, then they would let them stay past 18 until they're ready, right? So let's see what more this skit is going to show about this topic.
Exactly. That's how we build character. Ramen noodles, taxes, all part of the American dream. Other countries, kids stay with their parents until they're ready. There's nothing wrong with that. Stay. Why would anyone stay? You're 18. Independence, freedom, panic. I didn't even ask to be here. I'm your son. And you threw all your trauma on me, so now I gotta deal with that. And survive in the world? Exactly. Multitasking. Character building.
So it seems like the parent role that he's playing in this skit is a parent who might have also gotten kicked out at 18 and he had to figure it out. So he's projecting that onto his 18-year-old child here now. And yeah, this person also makes a good point that other countries let their children stay until they're ready and prepared. Whereas America, we have a lot of people that kick them out just because the law says, hey, they're free to go. And I wonder why it's like that. We're more of a independence, every man for himself type village, whereas everybody else doesn't matter the age. It's more so about wanting to have the best for your family members and your community, and you're ensuring that in the best way possible, especially when you know that in their current circumstance and what they are experiencing in life if they're not ready. For example, being 18 and already getting kicked out just because the law is saying you're an adult. There's um cultures where the child doesn't leave until they're getting married. So I wonder why, instead of following any of those principles, 18-year-olds can just get kicked out and nobody blinks an eye. So let's continue on with this.
Building 101. So I'm homeless, emotionally scarred, and cooking ramen for the rest of my life. Pretty much. Welcome to adulthood, son. Okay, you're 18 now.
Oh, I know.
So that was that one. So that was pretty interesting. There was also another point how the kid said he didn't ask to be here. And that's very true. I feel like parents can be unfair with expecting their child to just go out there and not even give them any tools for the world. Just give them a little backpack of little things that will probably barely even last them a week and brush them off. And like, don't you have any care or a worry of what would happen with that child? Because nobody is dumb. They know that an 18-year-old's unprepared. So, does the parent think about that? Or was it just them raising the kid as a form of obligation and they were just waiting to kick them out? Because I feel like if your heart was big enough, then the parent wouldn't have done that, kicking them out right when they hit that good old legal age to go out in the world, which I wonder why that was decided. Because 18 still has teen in it. Technically still a teenager, so I don't get why it wasn't 20 and up. But I have this next video here right now. Parents kicking out their child out when they turn 18. This is another one. So let's get into this one.
One thing I would never ever respect is a person who's a parent, but they decide to kick their child out when they turn 18. Because to me, that's just downright selfish. Because you mean to tell me that as soon as they turn 18, that means you get to kick them out the house because they're technically an adult in the United States? That is by far one of the most selfish things, one of the worst things you can do as a parent. For one, the kid is still in high school or they're about to graduate high school. Most of the time, 18-year-olds are still in high school. They probably don't have a job, or if they have a job, they're
That's very true. A lot of 18-year-olds are still in high school. And it's like, so what's the point of pushing your kid to go to school, get good grades, get an education, graduate, da la la, do the whole process, but then they're still in high school, but then you're kicking them out. How will they be able to focus on getting that education? How would they get there? How would they'd have to they'd be on survival mode now because whether they graduate or not, now they have to deal with the real world, and there's a lot of threats that could be around them that they would not be prepared for because they haven't had the chance. So why? Just let them focus on their schooling. As long as they're doing right by their responsibilities, then I don't see why they can't stay. It's like parents like that, they just itch to get them out, which is weird, but let's continue on.
probably working part-time at a restaurant or at a grocery store, so they're not really making a lot of income. And I feel like parents don't be asking this question themselves. If you kick your child out, where are they going to go at? You just kick them out to the streets. So now you just made your child homeless because they're 18 now. And to me, if you do that, that just shows you was never a good parent from the start, because a good parent will allow their child to stay as long as they want until they get financially stable and try to find their own place to stay. I think the only exception for a parent kicking
That's true, and if they're out there, they don't have any preparations, no tools offered to them. They're just out and about. Anybody could take advantage of them. It'd be super easy because the parent threw them out. They have nothing for themselves. They don't even have a place to stay. They don't have any supplies to go anywhere. Anyone could so easily go up to this person and wouldn't have to offer much, and they'd probably take it even if they know, hey, this is a person that could very well be taking advantage. This is very risky. They might feel they have no choice but to take it because it's either taking a chance with this person and fingers crossed, or it's staying out in the streets and then harm comes to them either way, where it might be even worse, especially if they can't see it coming and don't know what to do. So why put your child through that despite them just because they're a legal age? Bottom line is they're definitely not ready. They definitely need to go through a process where they can go get a job, collect their money, learn other things that they need to do to be prepared to be out there. At least getting graduated, at least let them complete their education. So because if you don't have a GED or an equivalent, a lot of jobs, a lot that require that. So if they don't even have that, they can't even get a job more than likely. And then they're just even more screwed because you can't get a job out there because your parent didn't give you the chance, and then you're just stuck to be taken advantage of and God knows what. It's very, very sad. They don't get much of a chance. Let's see what more he has to say.
their child out is if they're like in their mid to late 20s and they're not like working, they don't have a job, they just sitting in their basement, not getting up, going to work, just basically lazy. But other than that, if you're a parent that's done that before or you're thinking about doing it to your kid, all I'm gonna say is that you're evil. The one thing I would never ever
It's understandable to let that child have a chance. If you're letting them stay and they're not doing right by it, as in they're taking advantage of staying, they're not making sure they get a job or doing something with their life where it'll ensure they have as much of a future as possible. If they're just staying there just to stay there and don't plan on ever getting off the parent, then yeah, I can understand. Because at that point, that parent may not, the parents can't carry that child forever. So, especially when they're more than capable to be able to find ways and start making a life for themselves, because the parent had to do that and they continued doing that once they had that child so that child could survive. So, that is an instance where I understand. If they gave that child time and they're well grown and still haven't done anything, but giving that child no chance, just instantly booting them out, did the parent even love that child in the first place? Because they know how messed up the world is, how crazy it is. The people can be crazy. And once you're out there, nobody cares about the next person. Once you're out there, it's every man for themselves. Nobody's gonna come and just want to offer you this great life out of nowhere where you don't have to work for anything. Everybody has their own struggles and everybody has their own plans that they're trying to make so they can get to through the next day. Everybody's worrying about themselves and their own things. And nobody's gonna care about the next person when they have their own stuff going on. And there's crooked people out there who will see a person who has nobody and take advantage of that, and they could probably get away with it for a very long time because that person never had anything else to turn to in the first place. So, what are your thoughts on parents kicking out their children once they turn 18? Would you do that if you were a parent, or would you be the parent to let your adult child stay and wait it out and support them for them to have a better future before letting them go, and they can leave when they're ready and they'd more than likely be better off? And then you'd feel better because you know you let them do what they had to do. They wasn't thrown out to the wolves without any good shot. What are your thoughts? Please be sure to share them in the comments. Please like and share and subscribe if you enjoy listening to our perspectives. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take care and have a good one.